the drama continues. I wonder, is it a coincidence? Is it just happen chance that the President of the United States, his wife, and all the key people in his governmental apparatus in the White House, right down to Chris Christie, who was helping him with his debate prep, all these top-level Republicans who have been around the White House are suddenly infected? We don't hear one prominent Democrat being infected. And I wonder, and I don't want to just go out there and down some rabbit hole on conspiracy theories. And I like to bring you the best guests, the people that know where the rubber meets the road, to break this stuff down and look at it objectively. And we have a guest like no other today. Joining us is Charles Marino. Okay, he's the CEO of Sentinel Security Solutions, former Department of Homeland Security advisor, and former Secret Service Supervisory Special Agent. Charles, thanks for joining us. I really appreciate it. A lot of Secret Service stuff in the news. We talked a little earlier about Dan Bongino, talking about how these Secret Service agents go to work every day knowing they may take a bullet for the president, right? That's their main training.
That's right, John. Thanks for having me. Yeah, but you're right. The Secret Service goes to work ready to support the president. And the president's the guy that sets his agenda in motion. And so right here, we're seeing politics, where politics meets the Secret Service's role in providing protection to the president and others during a pandemic.
From what I've understood over the years, and you know this best, the Secret Service is probably the most elite people that we have in our government that surround the president, right?
Hands down, around the world. Absolutely.
That's what I think. That's what I've always been told. And would it make sense to you that if the president is known to be positive COVID, that the agency themselves would make sure that people around him had already been infected or had antibodies?
Yeah, I think what you're seeing here in terms of the planning is the testing, the robust testing that's going on of everyone that's in the vicinity of the president. To include those on his Secret Service detail, as well as his staff and himself and the vice president. The issue here is the reliability of the tests. You know, you can take a test on a Wednesday, and the saying is you've taken a test on a Wednesday. Thursday can be different, and Friday can be different from those 2 days. So it really does require the testing every single day, because somebody may not be showing symptoms on a Wednesday, but then can show them on a Thursday or no symptoms at all and still come back with a positive test result. So really, essentially, they're trying to make that bubble as secure as possible, ensuring that everybody's going through testing. But this pandemic, as we all know, has been pretty tough in terms of how it's detected.
So you're a supervisory agent. You've been in the highest levels of the planning. You've done organizational planning and strategy all around the world for the Secret Service. I had someone who is very, very, very high up in Washington send me kind of like a rhetorical, like, could this be the deep state? Like, why is it all Republicans? And this guy isn't usually a conspiracy theorist. That's why I asked you to come on. Could some level of the government, go as far as to try to infect the White House?
Yeah, I don't think so. Let's talk about kind of how the government's constructed here. The White House staff is primarily political appointees. The career staff that you're seeing there, what's often been referred to as the deep state, but we can talk about that too. The career folks are your Secret Service agent, your military officers, really these folks that have sworn and taken an oath to do everything in their power to not only serve the president, but keep the president safe. The other career officials that you're seeing are those that are in, the Centers for Disease Control, Health and Human Services. Those are also career folks. They're not political appointees. But at the White House, your politicals are really what set the policies and the agenda for the country, which is why every president brings their own immediate staff with them during a transition.
My battery died. So, Charles, I'm sorry to interrupt, but let me ask you this. I know what you're saying, but I would like to circle back to what you said about the deep state. You said we could talk about that. there is, this kind of growing phenomena of, well, the deep state tried to knock out Trump and the deep state did this or that. What is the real deep state or lack thereof?
I think what you're seeing, and this administration is probably not much different than others, John, is that you have low-level career officials and sometimes those higher up that are going to try and impede the policy direction of a certain administration. But the whole point here is to have that political appointee coverage to make sure that those career officials are doing exactly what the administration wants in terms of the development of policies regarding supporting the president's agenda. And then if they don't do that, you can address that as a one-off. As far as your point, John, about primarily Republicans being infected, unfortunately, I think we have nowhere else to look except some of the more recent events at the White House, like the SCOTUS nomination of Amy Coney, where you had a lot of Republican leadership, and naturally so. At the White House, you brought up Chris Christie. He was obviously there for debate prep, Rudy Giuliani, and others. So I think what you're seeing here is you're seeing, unfortunately, kind of this systematic spread of the pandemic of those that were in close proximity at a White House event.
Do the former vice president's children get Secret Service protection?
So the statute, it's interesting. The statute reads that any minor up to the age of 16 receives presidential protection or vice presidential protection. The only exception to that is a presidential directive, thereby granting additional coverage for children or grandchildren after those ages. John, we saw a big expansion of protection in the Secret Service in terms of the number of protectees, as we call them, after September 11th, and rightfully so. The threat dynamic changed, and more people required protection that had direct connection through blood to the president and the vice president. So there are exceptions to it, but typically children are up to the age of 16, and every now and then, based on intelligence or specific request, that protection can be expanded beyond 16.
Hey, Charles, I want to ask you, I love when our audience learns a little something. When I go to, I've been covering the debates and the conventions for years now, and, when my press pass gets me as far as like backstage in places where you see the Secret Service really, really reconnoitering, I see them when they're in formation, they're holding the lapels on their jacket, or at least it looks like they're holding the lapels on their jacket. Is that like standard procedure to show you're in position, or is that just a way to keep their hands accessible, or what is that?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. I mean, it's just it's keeping their hands in a good position, a good ready position right there at mid-chest, waist level, like you said, and it's not overly an overly confronting posture, but they're ready, their hands are ready and in a position in the event that they needed to respond. But when you talk about backstage, John, and some of the areas that you're getting access to through the press credential, you're seeing the guys that are the tip of the spear, as the bubble around the president. So
right.
So these guys are, these guys and women are ready to take action whenever action is called for.
I'm sure there's a heck of a lot of them around in plain clothes that don't have their hands on their lapels that we don't even recognize or realize. But most of them wear like a shoulder gun, like a shoulder holster. If their hands are there, they can just reach right in and draw. Is that it?
Yeah, I won't go too much into
Understood.
where the weapon's kept on the body, John.
But, understood.
I appreciate the question.
Understood.
But I will tell you that, where their hands are, they have accessibility to a wide range of equipment that they carry.
Amazing. All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go too deep, but I always wondered that myself. And my dad was a cop, and he had all kinds of crazy holsters that I used to see him with on his ankles and his shoulder and all other places. So, Charles, I really appreciate your sound overview on this, very objective, and I appreciate you quelling some of the conspiracies that may be percolating up, that maybe it's just, it's not a effort underway to kill the president. These things just happen. Thank you very much, Charles. I appreciate it.
All right, John. Take care of yourself. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Charles Marino, CEO of Sentinel Security Solutions, former Department of Homeland Security advisor and Secret Service Supervisory Special Agent. That's the top of the spear right there. Thank you very much, Charles. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back and we'll see if you're going to sleep tight next week when you get some new sheets for your bed right after this. No bullshit.